Yo, what is up, fellow moviegoers, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new around here, well, hello. My name is Gianmarco of Marco's Movies, helping you learn more, know more, and talk more about movies. On this channel, I rate, review, and react to movies. So if you enjoy this video, please consider clicking that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss another upload from me. So in today's video, I'm going to be, as you see on the screen right now, ranking every single MCU movie from the worst to the best tier list style. So how it's going to work, I'm going to place each of these movies on a tier, and at the very end of this video, make sure you stay tuned. I will be ranking every one of these in order. I have my list in order in mind, but I don't know exactly what tier I'm going to place them in. So let's go ahead and quit the talking and get to the ranking, and let's start talking the MCU. So these are in no particular order. I am going to try to start based off memory when these movies were released with Iron Man 1. I'm going to start with... So Iron Man 1 is a hard one for me. I really enjoy this movie, but watching this again after watching all these other MCU movies and how great they are, this one holds up fairly well, but I do not think it's an A movie. I do think it is a solid B movie, though. I really enjoy the first Iron Man. It's so much different. If you watch this movie and then watch a current MCU movie, there's so much different. There's a sex scene in this one. There's some adult jokes, which there is some in the new MCU, but not as much as in this movie. So after that, we're going to go with the Incredible Hulk, which is right here. So the Incredible Hulk, I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to say this right now. The Incredible Hulk is an okay movie. I do not think it deserves the hate that it gets. I actually really enjoy this movie. It's sort of a bossa movie for me. If you're new on this channel, bossa movie means a movie so bad it's awesome. Kind of like a guilty pleasure. I really enjoy this one. I can watch this. I love the Abomination fight sequence. And honestly, it's one of my more rewatched Marvel movies, surprisingly. As well as our next movie, which is Captain America First Avenger, which I think is on the same level as the first Iron Man, because it was such a great origin story for both of these characters, really. But I just love seeing Steve Rogers, his skinny old self, and just seeing how much he progresses as a character. And even though he didn't have the muscle or the steroid juice he gets later in this movie, he was still a soldier and willing to die for his family and for his friends, and he'll do anything to fight for this country. And he stands for so much. He is my favorite MCU character. I think his trilogy is the best. I'm not going to spoil if I like this more than Iron Man. You'll see that at the end. But let's continue on. So after that, I'm pretty sure Thor came out. I'm not completely sure. Thor is a D movie. So I hate both of these movies. I'm going to say this right now. I've never seen Thor Ragnarok in my life. So Thor Ragnarok, I'm not going to be ranking in this video. It's the only MCU film I have personally never seen. I will be doing a first reaction video to that one fairly soon. But this original Thor is honestly worse than Dark World, because at least Dark World is so bad that sometimes it's funny. I do think this has some okay moments. I like when he comes to Earth and is like drinking the coffee and he's like, I'll have another. That's actually one of my favorite MCU moments. Yeah, I don't like this movie. Next is Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2, I'm going to put on the D tier as well. Really don't like Iron Man 2. They introduced Black Widow. I think this movie could have been way better if you had made one of the three villains in this movie, the main villain, had Iron Patriot still in the movie. I overall think there's aspects of this movie that are really, really solid, but I think they were just doing too much for their own good, trying to world build the world of the MCU, if that makes sense. Yeah, they bit too much. They bit more than they can chew. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this in one take, guys. But yeah, I can definitely watch Iron Man 2 more than Thor. Spoiler alert, I like that movie more than Thor. My brain turns off here. I don't know completely the order these are in now. So we're going to go with the Avengers. The Avengers, in my opinion, is an S or A. It's like right in the middle, but I think I'm going to put it for A for right now. It might move up. I still have to think about it. If we're talking about just a pure, fun, cheesy, entertaining comic book movie, this is by far my most watched MCU movie. I can watch this as so many different movies. It's just such fun. It's so cheese. It has some great moments. I think it's honestly maybe the most watchable of the Avengers films, because if you watch Infinity War, you're not getting Endgame. And if you watch Endgame, you're not getting the most emotional payoff you can get because you didn't watch Infinity War. This one, 2.5 hours of pure fun, pure entertainment, great character development for both Captain America and Iron Man in this movie, as well as the Hulk. And yeah, this just did so much. It's such a revolutionary movie for comic book movies. And yeah, I love the first Avenger. Just watched it very recently, so there might be a little bit of recency bias there, but I don't think so. Next is Winter Soldier. It's an S tier movie. This may, spoiler alert, be my favorite MCU film of all time. You put my favorite MCU character into a spy film, combine them together. They shouldn't taste well because Captain America is this great patriotic being. He should be in a big, fun, cheesy action film, kind of like the first and second Spider-Man. But instead they went serious, a dark tone, dark music, dark soundtrack, with a spy espionage film with a little bit of Western, honestly, for me in there. Combine all that together. It shouldn't taste good, but it tastes freaking amazing. The third act of this film is really weak, but I think the first two acts perpetuate the third act of this film way up higher than it is, because it's not that epic. Not much happens in the third act except some character development for Bucky. And yeah, Bucky, Winter Soldier, might be one of my favorite MCU villains just because he's an anti-hero and because he was a good guy. He got brainwashed into being a bad guy, and he's basically Captain America if he was bad. And I don't know, I just really enjoy that. Next is Thor: The Dark World, F tier movie. This is one of the worst comic book movies of all time. This is probably in my top 10, top 15 worst comic book movies of all time. They just completely missed the mark of what the Thor character should be. Because in the first Avengers, he was such a fun, charismatic character that was so much fun to watch him and Hulk's relationship of who's the strongest Avenger. This is just put Natalie Portman, a talented actress, and Chris Hemsworth. He's a very talented actor. They put him in a movie, made it super boring, had a forgettable villain, and yeah, this just... If I had to not watch any MCU film for the rest of my life, I would pick this one. I think I can watch any other MCU film besides this one, like, once a year. This one I don't want to watch again. I've only seen it once. Iron Man 3, C tier movie. I think it is better than the second Iron Man. I think there's more fun elements. I hate what they do with the... It's been a little while since I saw it. I forgot what the guy's name, but he was a terrorist and then he wasn't a terrorist. Let me know in the comments that. I need to rewatch this movie. It is better. It has better aspects. I like the third act of this movie with all the Iron Man suits. I just hate that this movie ends the Iron Man trilogy like he's retiring, but in reality, has another like 5-6 movies of being Iron Man. It didn't feel... Looking back at it now, it wasn't as emotionally grand and as emotionally satisfying as it should have been, because it was not even close to the end of Iron Man. Next up is Avengers Age of Ultron. I think this is a B movie. I think people hate on this movie way, way, way too much. Now, it is not nearly on the same level as the other three Avengers movies at all, but I think there's some really great moments. I think there's moments in this movie that are just as high as the other three Avengers films. They were trying to go for a grand slam, and they only got like a triple. It was still a good movie. It was still really good. Still had great character development. Still teased some stuff that we see later in Endgame that pays off amazingly. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil. And yeah, I just think this movie's hated on too much. I think it's actually really solid. It's also really entertaining. The fight sequences do piss me off a little bit in this movie, though, because there's a lot of shaky cam in this film, more than the other Avengers films. Alright, next we have Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians is personally a B tier movie. It's a B plus movie. It is not... I think people put this movie on such high regards and compare it to the first Avengers. But you can't compare this movie to the first Avengers because it didn't do what the first Avengers did. If there wasn't the first Avengers movie, there wouldn't be Guardians of the Galaxy. In my opinion, if this first Avengers film didn't work out, this whole MCU wouldn't have worked out. People talk about Iron Man. If Avengers sucked, we would not see Endgame or Infinity War either. Guardians is a really fun, it's by far maybe the funniest MCU movie. I enjoy it. I like it. I think it's just a hair overrated. I think is still a high B movie. By far the highest B so far in the B tier. Next, we got, let's just do Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a C tier movie. I'm sorry, I almost put it in B tier. I was this close. It's like right in the middle. But looking at the 4 movies on B tier right now, I thoroughly enjoy all those more than I almost said Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep, but I love that movie. Doctor Strange, I kind of like that movie. I don't think, obviously, Doctor Strange wasn't fully developed in this movie. He was learning how to be Doctor Strange. So he wasn't as entertaining as he is in Infinity War. I actually find him annoying in this movie. And yeah, I think this movie's a really overrated movie. I just personally don't like it. I think it's cool seeing all the special effects, but I love practical stuff, and it all just felt like a big CGI fest that was made in computer rather than actually on set. Next, we'll go with Ant-Man. I enjoy Ant-Man more than Doctor Sleep. I will put that in the B tier. I think this one is probably almost the same, has the same comedy as Guardians. It's a little less of the jokes land. It's probably the weakest film in this B tier category so far, but I just love Paul Rudd as an actor. Clueless, 40-year-old virgin. He's so funny. I think he's perfect casting not perfect casting, but I think he was greatly casted as Ant-Man. It's just such a fun character. And it's really weird to think. I was watching the original Spider-Man movies the other day, and those movies were so like destined to fail because of comic book movies were on such a low thing at that time, and now we're getting Ant-Man movies today. It's just crazy to me. Next, we're gonna do Civil War, S tier movie. I'm telling you, Captain America's movies are some of my favorite to watch. This is like what Age of Ultron I think should have been. I think if you completely cut out Age of Ultron, put Cap wiggling the hammer a little bit in this movie, I think this should have been Avengers 2. I still like Age of Ultron, but I love this movie. The airplane fight sequence, a little too much shaky cam for me. It is still one of the best fight sequences in Marvel. I really enjoy this movie. It's probably my 3rd or 4th spoiler alert. I say that a lot in this, like you guys give a shit. It's going to happen at the end. Just stay tuned for that. This is one of my favorite MCU films, though. I think it has some of the best character development in the entire saga. I think what happens to Cap and Iron Man, it's 2 different sides. Even if you love Iron Man more as a character, you're still going to kind of agree with Cap. Cap is my favorite over the 2, so I'm on Team Cap. But I almost agree more with Iron Man, so they did a great job with that. But there's times in this movie where I'm just like, there's little nitpicks I have that are honestly more grand scheme than just little nitpicks that I won't mention now. But yeah, just a couple little nitpicks I don't love with that movie. Alright, where's Homecoming? Right here? No, that's Far From Home. Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm really tempted. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I was tempted to put it in C because I enjoy Far From Home more. I'm not going to rank Far From Home. I'm just going to say it now. I enjoy it more. Homecoming, I think they did great. I think they did good with Spider-Man. It's not the original Sam Raimi trilogy, but it is not the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans. This is the second best Spider-Man we got on the big screen, and I respect it for that. I think Michael Keaton as Vulture was amazing. I think he's one of the best MCU villains. I just think we relate to Michael Keaton's character so much more than any other MCU villains. Who the hell relates to a big purple guy that can kick the Hulk's ass? No one. Yeah, I just relate to him so much in this movie, and I love Michael Keaton as an actor. And I think Tom Holland by far might be the best looking Spider-Man, because as much as I think Tobey Maguire is the superior one, Tobey is a 28-year-old playing Spider-Man. Tom Holland looks like a 16-year-old playing Spider-Man. Next up, let's go Black Panther. Black Panther is, in my opinion, I don't want to put so many in B, but I think it's better than Homecoming. The CGI in this movie is terrible. It's some of the worst I've ever seen. I can't help it, though, because I like Black Panther as a character. He's literally Batman in the MCU. He doesn't have superpowers. He's just a freaking master in like karate and a master ninja with an awesome suit and awesome gadgets. He's basically Batman in this, so I'm bound to like him. And yeah, Chadwick Boseman's great. I love Michael B. Jordan. I don't think he was a great villain necessarily. I think we can relate to him a little bit. I don't think I relate to him completely. I do think he was good. I think he was good enough. I don't think he's at the same level as Michael Keaton's villain. Yeah, I overall like this movie, but putting this movie after, I think it came out right after Civil War, and so did Homecoming. Putting these 2 movies after that, before Infinity War, was a bad idea because you're putting it into 2 big-ass blockbusters. a lot of people like them, but I don't think they were as good as they could have been if they came out at different times. Next, we're going to go with Infinity War. Yeah, right? No, Guardians 2 is a C movie. I don't even want to get into it. It's one of my biggest disappointments in the MCU because I was so looking forward to it because I enjoyed Guardians 1 actually more than I do now. So yeah, Infinity War, here's the dilemma for me. Infinity War, I don't think is as good as Winter Soldier. And maybe not as good as Civil War. But I do still think it's an S-tier juggernaut of a comic book movie. First of all, Thanos, he is a psychotic magician. He's so psychotic, he can watch a million people behind him getting massacred and getting freaking murdered and be calm and talking to a little girl while her parents are getting murdered. He's so devilish and so creepy and so sinister. There's just something about him. I think he's the best MCU villain. And the weird thing is, I actually low-key agree with him. I think eventually the Earth is going to be overpopulated. And I don't think we should have wiped it out half of it, but yeah, I'm not gonna go over that. Next is Ant-Man and the Wasp. C tier. I think it's almost just as good as the first Ant-Man. I don't think it's as at the same tier as it. It's this. I always say this in every franchise. There's always one movie that I just forget was ever made. This is that in this franchise. It has funny moments. Villains suck. Yeah, that's about it. Captain Marvel, D tier movie. They put this movie out in between Infinity War and Endgame, the two biggest Marvel movies in history of Marvel. So this movie, I think if it came out after, I just hate that this movie, the only reason it came out is so she could be in the Endgame, to be an overpowered being, and to sell more tickets because people love Captain Marvel. I just don't like it. I like Brie Larson as the character, though. Thor Ragnarok, haven't seen, not going to rank it. Gotta watch it. Endgame is an A-tier movie. I think it's a smudge below Infinity War because I think there's coincidence throughout every MCU movie. There's always coincidences that our heroes get a step above. There's not as many in Infinity War because they lose, so they don't need coincidences to win. There's a lot more for them to win, and I hate that a movie that a spaceship was stuck in space because it ran out of gasoline is explaining time travel well. Okay. Yeah, but there's so many. I think there's more bone-chilling moments and more like goosebump and more like inspirational moments in Endgame. I think there's higher points in Endgame than Infinity War, but there's just more lows as well. Far From Home, gonna say it now, I enjoy more than Homecoming, but they're on the same tier. I enjoy it. I think it's a good start to the level after Endgame. I am still curious. I think what Endgame did so well is that it made me question where they're going to go. I don't know who's going to be the next Iron Man and Captain America. I can't see it being Spider-Man, though. So I hope... I don't know. Doctor Strange. I don't know who's going to be... Leave it. Let me know down in the comments right now. Who do you guys think is going to be the next leader in the MCU? Let me know. In my opinion, I think it's either Doctor Strange or Thor. That's my opinion. Or Black Panther. Probably, actually, I'm going to go with Black Panther. But now's the time we rank these movies. F tier, there's one. It's there. D tier, I enjoy Iron Man 2 more than Thor. And there. I enjoy Captain Marvel less than Thor. So yeah, there's my D tier. Already done. C, it gets a little hard for me. I would probably put Ant-Man. I'd probably put Ant-Man above Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3. Yeah, I like that order. I like Incredible Hulk the most out of these movies. B tier, you guys are going to be surprised. The first Avenger is my favorite movie out of all these. I'm going to get some hate. You guys can hate all you want in the comments. I love the first Avenger. It's my most underrated MCU movie. I'm planning on making an entire video about why I think it's underrated as hell. So I'm not going to go into it. Next is probably Guardians. After that, I'm going to probably go Iron Man. Then Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron. I'll go Far From Home over all of these. I'll go there. That's my order for B right now. So first Avenger, Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man 1, Age of Ultron, Far From Home, Black Panther, Ant-Man, and Homecoming. That's my order right now for my B tier. A tier, like that. I enjoy the first Avengers more than Endgame. That's another hot take. I can watch Avengers any day of the week. I love the first Avengers movie. I think it did more for the genre than Endgame. I think it was more fun than Endgame. I think it didn't have the same emotional payoff, but I think if we didn't have Avengers 1, we wouldn't have Endgame as obviously. And I think how much they developed these characters in this movie really elevated to how fast they were able to release Endgame. So yeah, gonna go there. S tier, Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU film of all time, followed by Civil War, followed by Infinity War. That is my ranking of every MCU film in the entire MCU, besides Thor Ragnarok. So number 1's Winter Soldier. Number 2, Civil War. Number 3, Infinity War. Number 4, The First Avengers. Number 5, Endgame. Number 6, First Avenger. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 8, Iron Man. Number 9, Age of Ultron. Number 10, Far From Home. Number 11, Black Panther. Number 12, Ant-Man. Number 13, Homecoming. I'm not doing this right. Next, Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 3, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain Marvel, and Thor the Dark World. There's my ranking. Take a screenshot if you want. Comment down below what do you think out of all these movies was my worst ranking? What do you guys... Well, I want to hear some negative backlash against me. What one of these picks in the ranking do you think was the stupidest for me to rank that low or that high? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll give my arguments why I think they should be where they are. But thank you guys all for watching this ranking video of me ranking all the MCU films. I really appreciate you guys, all your guys' support on the channel. It literally means the world to me. And make sure you also, before you click off this video, check out my merch store in the first link of the description. I just released a bunch of new designs and they're still on sale for half price for 12 more hours. So make sure you check out that link. $13 t-shirts, and I just love wearing them. So make sure you check out that first link in the description. But like I said, thank you guys for tuning into this video. And as always, keep watching movies.